Hey, good evening. How you guys doing on this fine Saturday? I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War and co-host of Music and Mayhem with my brother Skylar Ray. And if some of you may have heard earlier, a little announcement that we will be talking more about tomorrow about the new endeavors that I am going to be jumping into with the one and only Thomas Vestergaard, known as a sensitive biker, and we will be discussing that uh, tomorrow. But yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys about. But I hope you guys are having a great weekend. We have been very busy, as you can see, and we're very, very blessed to have an awesome guest tonight. But before we get him on, let's pop on OG here. She is,
I'm
of course,
here.
going to be doing her thing in the green
Got
room
my
and
phone ready.
getting all. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please, you guys know, jump right in.
Just send them
We're
on.
here to answer questions. We're here. It's all the more interaction we can have, the better it is. So, without further ado, definitely appreciate having our guest come on here. You, everyone knows who this is, man. M2 The Rock,
Yay!
Michael Molthan, the one and only. Good evening,
All
sir.
right.
What's up, family?
How
Yeah.
are you on this fine Saturday?
Manny and the great OG.
I'm telling you,
Old school.
last time we had a chat, we were off on
Portland.
undisclosed location, which I knew we were in Oregon, and we had the pleasure of talking to you.
Yeah.
But how are things going?
Good. I mean, last time I talked to you, I had a little head injury and little car accident, and everything's going good. And I'm such an alcoholic. I just saw OG take a sip out of that little cup, and the first thing that came to my head was sake.
I know.
I just thought of sake.
You know, it's funny. That's her coffee
That's my
thermos
coffee
thing
from
and
Javalia Coffee.
She usually had the little
regular-
tippy thermos cup thing, and also I look over and I see this. For me, I thought of just doing shots. I was like, then I thought that is the
big
smallest
shot
shot glass. And she goes, "What do you mean small?" I
That'd
go,
be huge
"Well, we
shot
use rock
glass.
glasses. We didn't use
Yeah,
shot
well.
glasses or
And-
just the bottle."
And cheers to you, my coffee.
But,
Well, but I knew she was a normie. I don't know if she's a normie or not, but if she's a normie, you're not. Okay, good. Because, well, then you might be cured because you drink it like this. We're like,
oh man,
You're very observant. And may I call you Michael? Michael,
Absolutely.
you're very observant. Okay.
Well, we're gonna pop OG into the green room
Okay.
here.
I'm out of here for a bit.
You're gonna go enjoy your sake.
Yes, of course.
And but yeah, man, I like I said, the last time we talked, we were actually just kind of going back and forth answering messages to have you come on the show.
Yeah.
And we were away in Oregon and we were going to go live. And you said, well, you know what? Because I told you we go live all the time. You're like, well, you know what? I would, if you wouldn't mind coming on live with you guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, hell yes. And we didn't really talk much about, the incident. So, yeah, I remember you telling me what happened. And then you told me about what your living room, was it the living room or what
Crime scene
looked like until you showed me the pictures. But I'm going to let you describe that. But first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for giving us this time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Manning. And I know, I'm setting a soft boundary here, okay? Because at 7:00 Central Standard Time, and I think you can relate to this, all right? The puck drops for the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche for Game 7. Okay,
you got it. So that is it's east. Was that 8?
So it's a hard stop.
Is that 8 p.m.? Correct.
Yeah, I'm kidding. I mean, we want to get the message out.
Hey, but I tell you what, when it comes to
Hockey,
watching the Wings, I've hate. Well, not this year. You know what? Let's talk about your team.
Well, you're from D-Town and I'm from D-Town, right? So,
man, yes,
we've got an incredible sports week this weekend here in Dallas, which is really cool. So we got NASCAR, which is my favorite sport. They're at Texas Motor Speedway. We've got the PGA Tour at the Byron Nelson Classic in McKinney, Texas. Well, right now, Scotty Scheffler, our local boy, number one golfer in the world, I think he's got a 6, maybe a 7-shot lead right now. I don't know. It's going on right now. And then we got the Dallas Stars going on. So it's a pretty crazy weekend here in Dallas. And the weather's beautiful. So we're looking forward to it. But thank you. Yes, thank you for having me on your show. And we connected through Skylar Ray when he was a guest on our show. And then I jumped on and photobombed y'all's live deal, and y'all let me come on, and that was a great time. And I was driving a men's Bible study 6:07 a.m. in the morning, and got T-boned going to men's Bible study, and I didn't think I was injured. I wasn't injured, and we exchanged information. It was a very pleasant deal. The insurance companies have been great, and ended up going to Bible study, and the next day post concussion deal, passed out and split my head open and blood everywhere. And so I had to send you, Manning, just to give you a little PTSD, send you but it was very bad. The brand had 7 staples in my head and stitches, and but I'm okay. It just lasted, for about a day, and rub some dirt on it, walk it off. But regarding recovery, what was so really cool about it is I told the paramedics, hey, I'm in recovery. And so, and they said, they got me the ambulance, and they said, what's your pain threshold? And typical addict, I'm in recovery. What's your pain threshold? What am I going to say?
8, 10.
Yeah. But it actually was. It was. And they eased the pain. And what was amazing is they gave me fentanyl, and that's something we could talk about. Everybody goes, whoa.
Wow.
There's a big difference between medical fentanyl and street fentanyl. That's a whole different topic, but it was interesting because it did ease the pain. Okay. But it only worked once. It just didn't work anymore. And it was so beautiful that there was no craving. There was no wanting more or anything like that. And actually, when I got to the emergency room, the paramedics were checking me in, whatever y'all do, reading off everything. And they said, the patient is in recovery. And the 2 nurses go, yeah, we know, we follow him on Instagram.
Hey.
And so I was my bottom was so low, I can't be anonymous, but anyways, but thank you so much.
Oh yeah. I tell you, like I said, we did talk about it, and you described it to me.
Yep.
And I didn't know that you were going to send it. I think you said, I should send it to you. And okay, whatever. And it was a while later, all of a sudden I look down, I see a text message from you. So, okay. So I hit it and it opens. I was like, oh, okay. What's this? And I'm looking, I was like, oh my God. It said, I showed everyone. I'm like, he wasn't kidding. I mean, it just looks like, we got to put up some yellow tape here.
Right. Well, it was, I cut a vessel. There's a vein, there's arteries and vessels in your head, and I cut a vessel, and so they had to stitch it up inside and then put 7 staples in. And it sounds really horrible. It sounds like a GoFundMe. It sounds like a charity golf tournament, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't that big a deal. So, but it was. It scared Lee. It scared my fiance. That's a lot of blood, and so.
Oh God, yeah.
So, but it's all good.
How many days of headaches did you have? I'm a nurse.
So oh, yeah. She's an RN.
How many days of headaches did you have?
Really didn't have any. I was really okay. Yeah. I was really okay. And it just really wasn't that big a deal. It looked horrible. And the old days I would have played this out. I would have milked this for 3 or 4 months.
Yes. Yeah, he didn't feel anything because he bled out so much. He was so lightheaded.
Right.
I mean, good Lord, but excuse me. But yeah, definitely glad that you're feeling better. Yep. And it was a very nice time. I love stuff like that because as we talked about, I never use a script. When I hit live, most of the time I'm looking at her. What is today? And she'll tell me what day it is. Oh, okay. Then what do you want to talk about? What do we? This is after I hit the live button. It's counting down. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, me either. And then it just kind of plays as it goes. But like that time with you, next thing you know, it's an hour later, and we had just a very nice conversation. And so, like for today, man, just for everyone, I mean, you are obviously, as you were pointed out by the nursing staff because of the success of your platform, very well known. But why don't you introduce yourself? Just tell us a little bit
Sure.
about yourself, where you who you are, where you're from.
Well, Michael Molthan,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in, long-term recovery. May 29th, 2017, I was apprehended and got my 27th mugshot. And, today my life has never been the same. On May 30th of 2017, if I would have got a bond, Judge Bennett never gave me a bond. I mean, she chased me all over the state of Texas. If I would have been able to get out, I would have re-upped and got back in the noise again, and it took a spiritual awakening for me to realize that God was all I had because he was all I needed. And I fought this disease, to the bitter end. In 1990 or in 2002, I went to Betty Ford. And the reason why I say Betty Ford and not treatment is I want everybody to know that I went to Betty Ford because that's where really important people like me go. That's what I really thought of myself. You know what I mean? I thought I'm a nobody. I'm a little BB in a big stack of BB.
Uh-oh.
Froze up.
Did you get a phone call?
No.
Up on.
I'm
We're
hardwired
back.
in. There we
We're
are.
back. Yep.
Yeah,
we're
I'm
back.
hardwired in. So anyways, I I just remained small, and after I left Betty Ford, 27 mug shots later, that's where I didn't lose anything, guys. I gave it all away. I literally gave it all away, and that's when I had a spiritual awakening, a bright light experience where Christ came into my life and changed my life forever. And as a result of reading to an inmate in prison, he was illiterate and couldn't read, and I was reading to him. My story's all out there. You can go out there and see it, but it was a result of serving someone else, expecting nothing in return, that changed my life. And I was miraculously released from prison in October 13th, Friday the 13th, out of all days, 2017, and made the journey 300 miles to turn myself back in. And my judge set me free and dropped all my charges. And she said, go pay it forward, as a result of what she heard and what she saw. When we are in active addiction, it's coming from the inside out. Okay. We show it, right? When we're angry, we show it. When we're sad, we show it. When we're feeling good, we show it. And when we're intoxicated and out of my mind, I show it. This time, when we're walking in the Spirit and full of the Spirit, not only do we show it, but people feel it. Okay. And that feeling was there. And she said, go pay it forward. And 8 years later, that's what I'm doing today is just simply paying it forward. And on our show and we just simply address topics. I share my personal experience, and I'll give you an example here in a second. I share my personal experience every day with people on how I see life through God's perspective. Okay. Not the world or the culture or religion or the church. I'm talking about the true Almighty God, seeing it through his perspective. Okay. And here's a good example is that when I got in the wreck the other day, okay, I was T-boned and I spun around and I was okay. And I got out and I went to the person that I hit. Okay. And I said, are you okay? He couldn't speak English. Okay. Oh. And so just for a chill a second, I got into self going, oh, this is not good. Just for a chill. And it didn't last long. And I just said, are you okay? No habla inglés, no habla inglés. And so he got his boss on the phone. And as he's get his boss on the phone, he's a sweet little, guy from Mexico. I'm assuming, you know what I mean? But it all looked like it. And I noticed in his front seat of his car, he had his lunchbox and he was just going to work. You know what I mean? And
he made an accident.
It was an accident. And he had insurance. He's a U.S. citizen, all this stuff. But I noticed that I handled it differently. Back in the day, I would have I would have wore him out. You know what I mean? I would have made a big deal about it. In summary, I would have made it all about me. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
definitely.
And I literally, and you know what? He didn't understand what I was saying. I didn't understand what he was saying. But when I told him, God bless you, and I'm going to pray for you today, and I hope you have a good day. And he says, muchas gracias. You know what I mean? And so those are the things in sobriety that I see today in myself, that, we notice these things that we change,
Oh, without a doubt.
and those are the great opportunities that I love to talk about on the platform, is stuff like that, is how we change.
Yeah, and Michael, and like you said it too about our actions and the way we handle things. Like for me, and you said it too, uh, active addiction, man. I will tell you anything that you want to hear
Mm-hmm.
and make you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're the masters of manipulation and all that, and it doesn't matter who, what, why, where, when, to get what we want. Uh, but when it gets to the point, and I didn't believe this shit either, because I talked to people that when they were telling me I needed help, yeah, whatever, and they'd give me the whole spiel how wonderful recovery is, and that feeling, and like you just said about that accident,
Yeah.
how because I was picturing that being me. If that would have been me back in the day, it would have been irate. What the hell's wrong with you? Even if it would have been my fault, but uh, when you saw that judge, when she not only heard about what was going on, but seeing the actions and not just hearing the words.
Right.
Words are just that. So man, and it shows in everything that you're doing. And just to real quick, just to jump in, because some people may think that you know maybe things were like this your whole life, with issues with drugs and alcohol and all this. Before all this happened, you were successful, working and all that. Life was good. And then it happened.
Yeah. Very good.
So
Good
it could
point.
happen to it could happen to anybody at any time.
Yeah. This disease does not discriminate at
Mm-mm.
all. But here's the good news, everyone. Neither does recovery. Recovery does not discriminate either.
Exactly.
But yes, I grew up I grew up on the other side of the tracks. I grew up in a wealthy family. I grew up in a predominantly white culture, country clubs. I was told to start a company at the age of 9. You know what I mean? And so I always was hustling. I grew up playing golf. Learning to gamble. Grew up in the real estate world and the construction world, and yes, eventually became, a very well-known high-end luxury home builder, here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and had a company for 20 years. And from the world standard and the culture standard, I was successful. But deep down inside, I was suffering. I was in a lot of pain, and I had real live, I had real trauma that happened to me as a child that I didn't sign up for. Okay. And it wasn't right. And it was very confusing. And in order to make that pain and suffering go away, I started seeking visible things to make this invisible problem go away. Okay. Everything, including drugs and alcohol. And drugs and alcohol seemed to work for a little bit. Okay. And it gave me that sense of ease and comfort. It put me what I thought in the now. It put me right here, right now. But I was confused because it was actually euphoria, Manny. I mean, I wasn't in the now. So in order to stay there and to experience that feeling after that first drink and after that first drug, how do I stay there? I do more and more. And so here's what's so dangerous about addiction with my experience was I had real live trauma. Okay. I thought I found a solution to ease the pain and suffering. All right. And then I was creating self-inflicted trauma on top of that. All right. And I truly believe self-inflicted trauma is the hardest one to get over because I have to forgive myself. That guilt and shame. And what does that look like? Towards the end of my run, at first I would drinking and doing drugs because I wanted to feel like everybody around me looked. Okay. That's what I wanted.
Happy.
Yeah. I wanted my insides to match their outsides. We hear that a lot.
I love that.
Then as the disease is progressive and it gets worse and worse, at the end of the run, I wanted to feel good about the bad decisions that I was making. You know, we hear the word insanity all the time, and insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That is not the definition for me. Okay, the definition of insanity for me, Manning, is doing the same thing over and over, knowing what the result's going to be.
Yeah.
That's
That's
true
very
insanity.
well. That's very well put, because
Mhm.
you know, and yet you're still trying to fool yourself. That's
Yeah,
very well put, Michael.
being on paper,
Mhm.
knowing the consequences of going to prison for long term. Okay, Judge Bennett in the state of Texas blessing my game, trying to help me, work with me, let me make it. Okay, and then drinking and using, and going to go piss dirty, knowing what the consequences are going to be. That's insanity. All
Mhm.
right.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
that's how deadly this disease is. And that's where it'll drive us. And
So,
I'm not
Michael, when you were talking about the addiction first, and you were talking about the drugs and the drinking, but you said that was second. First was some the things that you could see. Yeah, so you're talking about tangible things like are you talking like the cars, the material things that, well, if I have more of that, that was the first addiction, was the more I have, the better I'll feel?
This is really good. I'm glad you brought this up. So when I speak and I talk a lot, and on being on media all over the country, and
Mhm.
talk about it, I I have such a passion to remove the stigma and the label from addiction.
Mhm.
Okay, when we think of addiction, we automatically think of the $2 needle junkie sitting underneath the bridge. Okay,
Mhm.
well, here's the deal. The difference between me and the man underneath the bridge is one thing, and that's the bridge. That's it. Right.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
so, what I always say is, and so I've really researched this and studied this, and seeing it through God's perspective, is that addiction, here's the truth, because we're always searching for the truth. I just want to know the truth. Addiction is the street name for spiritual strongholds. That's what it is. Okay. So, with that said, let's break it down even more. Okay. Addiction is a person, it's a place, it's a thing. And
Mhm.
here's the scary one, or a thought that has become my source. Okay. So, with that
Okay.
said, everyone is an addict. Everyone is. Everyone is an addict. And so, why do drug addicts and alcoholics drive family members crazy and they're frustrated? And they just put us over in a corner and put a label on us. The reason why is because they're actually seeing their own character defects live on stage. They just don't drink and do drugs. They may be workaholics. They may be shopaholics. They may be gamblers. They may be addicted to service work. They may be addicted to golf, the cell phone, the internet. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, exactly.
well, dang, him too. I mean, that's so much. I mean, how do I live? Here's how we live, is that when we like today, I recognize when I'm doing it. I recognize it.
Mm.
Okay. For example, just today, we're just chilling. Man, we are just chilling, watching golf, watching TV. And I opened up a bag of candy. All right. And I just beat a couple of pieces. I can't stop eating it. It's just changing the way I feel. Okay. And we joke about it. I'm like laughing about it, like, well, I can't stop. Right. And so it's like, and then someone will say, like, well, you just have an addictive behavior. Okay. Well, we all have addictive behavior. Everyone does. Everyone does. Okay. And so, but thank God my consequences were so severe. All right. I never did time with someone who was addicted to video games. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Thank God my consequences were so severe to have these tools to share with others, because I love helping people that aren't addicted to drugs and alcohol, but might be addicted to power. They might be addicted
True.
to greed. They might be addicted to these things. And I love sharing that, because the simple solution is the real problem lies within me.
See,
That's where.
too, that was just something like with for me. I always say stuff just pops in my head too. And I was doing a show, and I was a guest, and I said, well, what was a change for you, Manny? And I go, you know what? I had to take responsibility and for a change instead of your fault, your fault, your fault. And I said, you know what? Until I decided to own it, I knew it was always going to own me, no matter what it was: drugs, alcohol, mental health issues, things, whatever it was, just like you said, cell phones, anything that has got to the point that you need instead of want, when it owns you, it owns you. And like as you so rightfully said too, it doesn't matter what it is. If it turns into a want over a need or a need over a want. And so mine was until I owned it, it owned me.
And it's like, I love what you said. And I'm going to ask you this, if you can relate to this. Remember, I said the scary one is our thoughts. When my thoughts become my source, and then my thoughts become my actions, all right, that's active addiction. All right. I love people celebrating sobriety dates. Don't get me wrong. They're huge. I applaud one day. I applaud 4 hours. I applaud 40 years. Okay. I think these milestones are great, but I love it. It's literally one day at a time. It's literally one day at a time. And, and when I talk to people and they go, I mean, I can't imagine going the rest of my life without drinking. And I said, well, can you imagine going the next 5 minutes? And they go, absolutely, bet, lock it down. You know what I mean? I said, that's faith. So hold on to that. Okay. And Manny and OG, even to this day, I have to get in that mindset sometimes. I have to get in the mindset, said, you know what? I'm just going to just focus on the next 30 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I love that too, because I always tell people when they ask me stuff is, for one, don't set yourself up for failure. And another thing you just said about the 5 minutes, when I first got sober, got out of the hospital with my issues, I met a buddy of mine, and a friend of his was sober for 35 years. And we're talking, and I go, yeah, congratulations. I said, what, you've been sober, 35 years? He goes, yeah. I go, man, that's something. 35. He goes, thank you. And he goes, well, I heard about your situation. He goes, how long you been sober now? And I went, 30 days, and kind of laughed. And he goes,
that's a miracle.
Why? He goes, why'd you say it like that? And I'm like, say it like what? He goes, well, how long? And I go, this time I go, just 30 days. He goes, why would you say just? And why are you laughing? He goes, when's the last time you were sober for 30 days? And I was like, I can't remember. He goes, Manny, I had to be sober for 30 days before I was sober 35 years. I'll never forget that. It was just like, it was also new to me at this time. I was only a month out, or month clean. I'm sorry. And it was like, huh, yeah. And one step, one day. Yeah, that's so perfect. I love that.
Well, I heard one time I was in a support group meeting, and a gentleman was celebrating like 40 years sobriety. Okay. And they applauded him. And this person, raised their hand and said, I've got one day. And as they were sharing in the support group meeting, the guy with 40 years said, hey, 40 years, that's nothing. One day, that's a miracle. I mean, that first 1 hour, that first 24 hours of eliminating something that we've been doing our entire life is a miracle. Yep. That's the miracle. That's the greatest deal, that first hour.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And then it goes from there.
That is, so true, man. That, because people, they see us at this point, and we're laughing and having fun and sharing experiences. And I'm like, listen, this isn't how it was day one, like you just said. And that is so true. Yeah. That first of everything that we do is fear. The first time you do anything. But that first step into that meeting, that first phone call, that first time telling a loved one, I have problems, I have an issue. That very first is terrifying, but you are so right. That first day, how am I going to, here 35 years, how am I going to make it one day? Until you do, you do.
Right.
Yes.
And the other things we talk about on the show that I definitely want to touch on are the families. You
Oh
know,
God, yes.
the families, are affected by this. And you know what? I want to make something real clear about this, and hope this helps families or somebody. Is that you know us addicts and everything, they clap and applaud for these different milestones. Once again, I support that 100%. But the families don't get claps. They don't get to celebrate milestones. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they deserve that as well. But the other thing is I want to make real clear with everybody is that we hear this a lot, that the families actually become more sick than the addict. Okay. So we hear that, but no one ever describes what does that look like. Okay. And so I want to describe what that looks like, because the family members that I had talked to on the phone to try to help their son, daughter, loved one, well, whoever it is, to get clean and sober, is that I literally have to stop them and catch them saying, you are in active addiction right now. And the reason why I recognize it is because I did it too. Okay. They said, what do you mean? I said, you're on the phone with me trying to get me to co-sign on this master plan of almost criminal behavior to lie to get your son or daughter help. You know what I mean? I had someone say one time, like, I want you to help my husband, but I'm going to log into his 401k because we can't afford it to hire you as a coach. And so I'm going to steal money out of his 401k to hire you. So don't tell anybody. I'm like, whoa, time out. Whoa.
That's not what this is about.
We don't do, this is this all about honesty. And so that is an example of a family member that's in active addiction. Okay. That's not doing drugs and alcohol. Bless their hearts. They're just willing to go to any lengths to do it.
Exactly.
They just don't know how to do it. And that's why a 12-step recovery program for the family members, okay, honesty, hope, faith, and work these steps with a mentor and a sponsor can help the family members get through this as well.
Man, I am so glad that you brought up family, because I'd like to go after, when I do my shows and stuff, is of course bring the people on to describe their life's journey. And it is a beautiful thing to hear the terrible ordeal to the happy story that is recovery. But at that whole ride, as you hear people say, you're such a hero, a warrior, and damn right. Yeah. To do what we did to recover. But the families, God bless them. I had a good friend of mine, his son unfortunately passed away for overdose and died. They were blindsided because they didn't know that their son had a problem until it was so late into the addiction that they were blindsided. So here, this family, they're being hit with all this turmoil. And he goes, Manny, I didn't know what to say. So it was the tough love. Just quit, because they didn't know. And for here, you've got your the turmoil for family, like you just described.
Pain.
I can describe it too with my own description. I was sitting at the table with my mom having another one of our, we have to talk, Manny, which meant, I know I'm screwing up my life. I'm screwing up your life. I'm screwing up everyone's life. Can we finish now? I got to go to the bar,
Right.
And I did the whole, yeah, I know. All of a sudden she started crying, which I went, oh God, here we go again. And then sobbing to the point she could barely breathe. She's like, you are breaking my heart. She was crying so hard. I didn't even care. All I cared about was ending this damn meeting to go to the bar with my friends and seeing the pain and agony. Fast forward till I'm sober. We're sitting at the same table, having a beautiful conversation, laughing. I looked at her and it was like someone stopped time and put a slideshow in front of me of a year ago. When she's crying, I started bawling my eyes out. My mom, what's the matter? I go, oh my God, I just saw that same action a year ago. I go, I am so sorry for what I did. And in typical mom fashion, oh, it's okay. No, it's not. But so for you to bring that up, what champions our families are, up to the point when they start wanting you to do illegal activities, though. But it just goes to show you the depth that not only addicts, but people involved as family and friends. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's just an example of how it makes everybody sick. It just makes everybody sick and doing desperate things. And the solution is for both sides to get honest. And that's it. and to get the help, because this is you know, I lost someone the other night. You know what I mean?
It's
And
got to be.
we lost someone the other night.
No, our Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's on my side. Damn it. Sorry about that, Mike.
It's okay.
Yep. But yeah, no, it's just such a twofold thing. It's not just a one size fits all. And yeah, the family, boy, the hits that we put on them.
Yeah. So it's so that's, we address the family, and the other things that we talk about on the show at Into the Rock is we talk about the trending topics, and we talk about trauma, and we talk about the solution for trauma, and then we talk about, obviously we talked about the families. One of the things I really am really passionate about is our crisis today is the missing man, and it's time for dads to take back the dinner table. And it's interesting. I love sports, and I was watching the NFL draft the other night. And for your viewers who don't, hang in there with me, I have an example here. And I was watching the NFL draft, and I love watching things and trying to learn things and turn it into content, that's relatable to everyone. And as I watched the draft, and they show the kids getting drafted and all this stuff, that 97% of those kids that got drafted, with them was their mom and their dad.
What was it? 90 what?
Probably 97% of the kids.
Really?
In the first round, every first round draft pick, and I can't remember, there was only one, but the first round draft pick, it was mom and dad standing next to their son that got drafted. That's the power of a man and a father being in someone's life. All right.
Yes.
Now, for a lot of people, if you're watching this, right now, well, I didn't have a dad. What do I do? Just like me, I don't know your whole story, if you had a relationship with your father or not, is that I had to make that decision to change the pattern, and lean on men around me that I wanted what they had. And, to do that. So that's our crisis today, is the missing man. And with men start taking back the dinner table and being the man of the household, not I'm the man. Okay.
No.
Women, if your man's running around, I'm the man of this house, we go by my rules. I want you to say one thing to them. Okay. What manual are you reading from? What manual are you reading from? What book are you reading from to be my man? To be the man of my household, right? And so I challenge that, because the men are the spiritual leader of the household. That's how we're engineered. That's the way we're engineered. Am I great at it? No, but I'm focused on it. I recognize when I'm not being that. And that's what will start diminishing addiction and all that. And they don't have to put up a wall around the country. You know what I mean? I care less. And they'll stop sending fentanyl here, because the men start turning their boys into men, making more wise decisions.
Yeah, I tell you, turning men into, a man into a father and a father figure. That really surprised me when you told me about the draft, because when it comes to our show here and getting the background, a lot of times you hear came from a broken marriage, got broken home, haven't seen my dad. Same thing. And yeah, so the importance, and it's not just for show. It's not just, oh, here's my dad, the house, white picket fence. It's showing responsibility, leadership, and not, like you said, to be better than anyone, but to responsibility, to take a leadership as your role as the man, as the husband, as the father. And that's really something, man. 97%. Is in
the first round. If you flash back and just think about what you're watching, there's the men, the mom and dad. I
love that.
In fact, the number 2 pick, Travis Hunter, from Colorado. All right. His dad was there, and that the parole board let him travel to be with his son on draft day.
I heard, yes. And you know what, too, that I thinking about this, about the family dynamic, is like I said, my mom, thank God, got us out of a very serious situation. And thank by the grace of God, also found a wonderful man who I had actually, he adopted me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he was taken from us by ALS. But
Mm.
he worked so hard. And I remember as a little kid, we'd have baseball, hockey, and all that. We had Father Sunday and Father Son games. And I remember being there, and I'd have to have my uncle fill in or something like that because dad wasn't around for a while. And then when my stepdad came in to the picture, he was working so much that he wasn't able to. And I just remember looking around at our league back then, and this is back in the early 70s.
Mhm.
How many, there were mom and dad, and all the dads were there, and the minority was me. And it
Mhm.
was such a strange feeling.
And
And
and unfortunately today it's now the opposite. You know what I mean? Unfortunately
mhm.
today, I mean, when I was incarcerated, 100% of the inmates I was locked up with had no relationship with their father. 100%.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Wow.
100%. And, and so, we've got this back. It's not drugs and alcohol that's killing the human race. Okay. It's the lack of the man and the family, the nuclear family. All right. And it's also the other thing that's killing the human race is resentments. That's what's killing the human race. Everything stems from resentments. And today, as a result of sobriety and working a program with a sponsor and the 12 steps, I don't represent any 12-step group. I protect the anonymity of all these groups.
Mhm.
I respect it.
Mhm.
But as a result of working through these 12 steps for me with a sponsor who is a mentor now to me, I now have tools on how to navigate through life, and I can finally answer that question that I could never answer when your mom was sitting across from you crying,
Mhm.
saying, Manny, why do you drink? And inside we were mad. And the reason why we were mad because we couldn't answer it. We didn't know.
Oh, yeah, and we had all the answers,
Yeah.
but we did the real one was always right here, but for me, I was just too afraid,
Right.
and it couldn't be me. It's always someone else. And with all these things now, and I love what you said too, because what I really push too is it's not a cookie cutter approach when it comes to recovery. There's so many options.
Yep.
And what I always tell people too with My Fight Our War is we are here for everyone who is battling any type of addiction,
Mhm.
PTSD, drugs, whatever it is, but also mental health issues,
Yes.
which is huge. They go hand in hand with everything else going on. And I know that's something that's important to you as well, if you'd like to
Yes.
touch on that.
Yeah. So, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and it was actually really cool watching the PGA Tour this week on TV here in Dallas. They're actually recognizing mental health awareness on the
On a
TV,
tour.
and so what's great about mental health today, it's now the reason why the stigma and the label is being removed. Why? Because we're talking about it.
Mhm.
We're
Mm,
talking about it. It's not this uh, hush hush secret. Okay. And mental health, there's many different categories. I always say this when I'm speaking on mental health. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not a medical doctor. I don't have the qualifications. I have battled some mental health issues as far as depression, anxiety, paranoia, trauma, major PTSD that I still battle with. Sometimes today, and when I have bouts of PTSD from the sexual abuse or the physical abuse, it's kind of cool because when it does happen, I'm like, okay, where's this coming from? Okay, why am I feeling this right now? So I can share this with Manning and all his friends. You know what I mean? To help somebody.
yes.
And
Mhm.
a lot of times, it is something, a thought that'll come up during the day, or something triggers me. Maybe even watching a movie, it'll trigger me,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't talk about it. Okay, and I take it to sleep with me, and I literally have nightmares where I'm
Mm,
screaming. Okay,
mm,
um, here's the solution that I found that's been best for me. If I'm watching something or something's happening, is the solution is to talk about it. So I'll literally talk to Lee about it. I say, hey, I know this is a cool. I can't watch this, and she's so cool. So all right, let's change it. You know what I mean? And because it's just something I can't go there, and she respects that. And so there is real mental health where medical attention and medication is needed. Okay.
Definitely.
There is definitely that level of mental health. And I support that 100%. If that means anything, I support. But there's also the mental health that I believe is curable. Okay. And it's curable through support group meetings. It's curable between Manny and I just chopping it up, in private. I've come to the conclusion that depression is something that a lot of people can relate to, right?
Yes.
And when we are in deep depression and that hopeless state of mind where we can't get out of bed, and then when we're laying in bed, just the thought of making a phone call that we need to make just overwhelms us, right? Or a phone call coming in that you're too scared to answer. And it's just Manny calling me, just say, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? And I'm
that's how intense it is.
That's how intense it is. And the reason why it gets so intense and I would get so depressed is the common denominator is all I'm doing is thinking about me. I'm thinking about me. And so how do I get out of depression? Okay. Is simply serve someone else. Okay. Well, that sounds great. If it takes just picking up my phone and texting 3 people saying, hey man, just thinking about you, how you doing today? Or calling my mentor and sponsor and saying, hey, I'm depressed today. I'm really sad, and we talk every time.
Just reaching out, just that reaching out. And I love what you said about Lee, about certain things. And such a key, I feel, is communication.
Absolutely.
You have to have communication without fear, and discuss these things.
Right.
And I love the stigma thing too, because I went on a rant a few times on some shows. So I'm like, listen, man, people will sit there and talk about disease. You'll talk about cancer and MS and diabetes and all this stuff too. And I'm waiting. I'm like, you know what? You're gonna throw addiction in here, and we need to talk about with addiction and mental health issues. It's not taboo. It's not something. I had a person one time tell me when we were talking about that. She goes, well, my son and my daughter-in-law have issues with addiction. And she got whispered. She goes, we don't talk about that outside the house. And I said, really? I go, well, I said, by not talking about it, just so you know, you just put a beer in your son's hand. By not talking about, you just helped put a needle in your daughter-in-law's arm. She was just like, oh, and she started getting all mad at me. I go, hey, but the next time we talk about it, we'll be at their funerals.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she's like, all pissed off. I go, listen, man, I don't have all the answers, but I'll never stop asking the questions.
Yeah.
And to help you talk about this, I talk about with addiction now with, pride, dealing with addiction. I am part of an elite fraternity of badass warriors who have come together, confronted our fears, and we share it just like you do with all these people. That's why I commend so much for what you're doing.
I appreciate that. And, for me, just being vulnerable and transparent is where I get the freedom. And as a result of working real hard on my past trauma, today I realize that my past trauma is my gift.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Our past trauma becomes our gift. And also for people who are watching this, is like, you don't have to do what we do to be happy, joyous. Believe me, this is not what I grew up to do, for a living.
It wasn't on our to-do list that day.
Oh my gosh, no. And this is actually the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life is spreading the good news of recovery, helping people with, mental health and using my personal experience. It just gets hard sometimes, you know what I mean? And dealing with, talking to people. But, the way we remove stigmas and labels is by sharing great stories. Okay. And the great stories that I love to hear, Manning, are the people who have listened to the show, who have everything. They still have everything. And they said, man, you saved my life.
Oh,
I always say, I didn't save it. I'm just a vessel, right? But they said, I got sober and I still have everything. Those are the awesome ones. They're all great stories. Don't get me wrong. The high bottom stories are the really cool ones because you and I had nowhere but either death or up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was either death or up, and there's a lot of stories out there like that, and they're awesome. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all great stories, but those are the cool ones that
Oh,
you catch them in time. You catch them in time. They get it. And
yes.
I had that chance. I had that chance, but I was so selfish that I wasn't finished. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Because
I had a person to tell during the show, and I said, what you're thankful for, and I go, I appreciate being on your show, just like I appreciate, thanks for addiction. You're thanking addiction. Well, yeah, if it wasn't for addiction, we wouldn't be talking right now. And just like you, though, I wouldn't wish this is on anybody, but it is so crazy that our terrible stories of pain and turmoil are causing someone else to be victorious in life,
yeah, we're
because it's like
chosen.
I can relate to M too. Wait a minute, what he just said just sparked something.
Yeah,
And like you said about a person that listened to something you said, there is no better high than that feeling.
that's
And
right.
I had a lady one time when I first started doing this messaging me and then stopped for a while. And long story short, all of a sudden I get this message that didn't seem right. Later that night, I'm doing a show. And afterwards, I get another message from her and her daughter thanking me over and over about the shows and videos. And then another one, it came in and said, "You don't understand. My mom called me and said someone was up. She planned on killing herself,
Mm,
and she was getting ready to do it. And she said something happened where she hit something, and my video of my story came on as she was watching it, and she watched it. She said for some reason she watched it 3 times, and something clicked. And instead of doing it, she picked up the phone and called her daughter, and she's alive. And I lost it. I was just, man. So our words, your story, like you just said, says it all.
yeah, and we all have a story. We
Mm-hmm.
all have a story, and we share it out there. We stay in the solution, not the problem.
Mm.
Okay. Um, we're not picketing to we're not picketing to be right or anything like that. It's just true transparency, vulnerability, honesty with solutions, and that's what helps people. It's the story of just basically I just share stories how I see life through God's perspective today, not the world or the cultures. And for anyone who is struggling right now, I truly do believe that it's a spiritual program. It's not religious. Okay, it is a spiritual program, and I challenge you to take that risk and try to find a God of your understanding. You don't have to a God of your understanding, and it's a personal relationship. And to take that risk, and if you don't know how to do that, you can message us, message Manny, and all we can do is share our experience, of a
Yes.
God of our understanding, because nothing else is working. Do you know what I mean? So
What do you got to lose?
we might
Yeah.
as well try Casper the Friendly Ghost. You know what I mean?
You
You
know
know,
what? M2, I was on one of my rants about what you just said. I love it. So much of the stuff that you say, that's why I love watching you, man, because you put it much better than I do.
Relate. Yeah.
But when I'm talking about, everyone knows, my faith is very strong, and but I will never push my. I'm Catholic. I will never push my religion on anybody. And I always say, but you have to have faith. And I said, if you don't, you're in for a rough road. And one time I was going, and I said, listen, I don't care if you're praying to a dead possum's ass. If you then you pray to that dead possum's ass. And I was just going, and I look over at OG and she's just going, what? And then someone messaged in and it said, you know what, Manny, if that's what it takes, I'm going to find a dead possum's ass and find me and fix me a cult or something. It was
Mhm.
so
that's
some outrageous, but faith and
right.
whatever religion, whatever God and whatever belief. So you are spot on with that.
Yeah, and if the pain is still there, if the pain's still there and the suffering is still there, okay, find another God.
Mhm. Mhm.
you know,
You know,
you keep searching because it'll happen. Here's a great test on faith, and I talked about it earlier. If you want to know what faith really feels like, and the great analogies of I'm sitting in a chair, I have faith that this chair is going to hold me, right? I have faith that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. That's all real faith. But if you really if you're new to this, okay, and say I ain't talking about this God thing, believe me, I didn't either. Not until 8 years ago. All right. I totally get it. But if I were to ask you this, can you go the rest of your life without drinking or doing drugs? Immediately to someone new, they go, oh my God, no. Oh my God, no. I said, okay, can you go the next 30 seconds without doing it? And they immediately say yes. They don't even hesitate. You notice that? They don't even hesitate. Yes. Okay. That's faith. That's what faith feels like. So in that 30 seconds, when you said yes so quickly, and you meant it, and we never talked about God. Okay. That is faith. That's the feeling of real, invisible faith, and faith is not in what we see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's believing what you can't see. And like you said, that was just when they say blind faith, that was literally an example of it.
That's a perfect example of it. So when you're
like you said, no hesitation, no thinking about it, no having to negotiate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's like it can be anything. It can be smoking, porn, gambling, work, anger. Anger is a drug.
30 seconds.
Okay? You know what I mean? Can you go the next? I mean, you can reduce it down. You can go, can you go the next 26 seconds without drinking? Use a weird number. Okay. And they just, Okay. Yeah. Now, remember, you told me earlier on this phone call that you didn't want to talk about God. Right. And they go, well, yeah. I said, remember, you called me. Right. And you said, you don't want, you said you're trying to run the show and you called me asking for help. All right. So can you go? And I said, that's faith.
Yep. And you already took that first step without even realizing it because you called me.
You called me.
You reached out. Yes, I tell you, all these things, that's why I love doing what I do now, because I'm so great at this, but I'm like a sponge. I watch you, I watch other people, and I just learn every day, and I love it. Just absolutely love it.
Absolutely. And so I challenge everyone is to go through your day and be excited when something is happening that's not in your plan. Okay. Try it. Even though okay, wait a minute. This wasn't in my plan. Why is God allowing this to happen? What's really happening here? What's really happening here? Because that's where we learn, and that's where our faith gets stronger. Oh, I see why you're allowing this to happen. The simple question, okay, well, if God is so good, why does he allow bad things to happen? He doesn't. It's our perspective. So why did he allow my son to overdose and die and take him from me? Yeah, but look at all the people who came to his funeral. Maybe 3 people stopped using because of that. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. 7 months later, the mom she's gone through her grieving, and now she's sharing her story as a mom and how to get over the death of her son who overdosed on fentanyl. And now she's becoming this pioneer and this leader. Okay. Because of, I'll make up a name, Jason, overdosed. God's working through Jason and through the mom to help others. It's seeing it through a whole different perspective, because my God and my understanding is all good. It's what we perceive to be bad because we're selfish.
Then that's just like with exactly, because with a lot of the things I would do that too. It was like I'd always look at the flip side. It's not good, it's bad, and I'll prove it. And it's just like, well, you're my best friend died in my arms. Well, because of him, I am now doing what I'm doing now, which almost damn near killed me. By going through that experience, watching him die in my arms, his last words were on this earth, I love you, Manny. Died in my arms. And here I am now doing this, which damn near almost killed me. So
it right there.
Yes, he stays alive with my stories of him and sharing his story.
That's right. That's beautiful. That's what it's all about right there.
Man.
And guess what? We've been on here almost 60 minutes and we hardly talked about drugs and alcohol at all.
Yeah, life.
And there's no stigma. There's no label to that.
Nope. Well, all that means is we're going to need to have you come on again.
Anytime.
I would
One more
love to
time.
have you on as much as as you got, as I've told you, and I'm sure
And
I
vice
go
versa.
live all the time. I'd love to come on. I know we were talking about coming to Dallas in I think it was November or
Yeah,
sometime, but we'll definitely be talking to you because I definitely would love to do that. And
absolutely.
sir, you have an open invitation to come on anytime you want.
Sweet.
Totally enjoyed this, and I would love to have you on again.
Absolutely. And with your permission, here at M2 The Rock, we would like to take this video, okay, and turn it into an audio, and we'll put it on our podcast platform. And this
Outstanding.
show
Mhm.
will be heard by every prisoner in every jail and every prison in the entire country, okay,
Wow.
Let's
as a
do it.
result of me forgiving my grandfather and sharing my story at an event that the head guy of Securus Technology's son was touched. And now, as a result of that, see what's happening? God's
Yes.
using my
Mhm.
grandfather to work through me as a result of forgiveness to help other people.
Well, by all means, anything in any way, um, with me, my fight, our war, definitely keep fighting the good fight. And by all means, whatever we could do, we're all in.
My man, my man. Manning, OG, thank y'all so much.
Oh,
Okay, the
well,
puck's
thank
dropped
you.
now, right?
The puck is dropped.
Let it
The
go.
Dallas Stars.
And plus, I gotta talk to you. Well, not today, but I'll talk to you because I've got a friend of mine about the old Danbury Trashers. Back at if you have Netflix, we'll go over that because I know you're a hockey guy,
Just
but
text
you
him.
want to hear this, so I
Yeah.
will talk to you. I'll
Hit me up
call you
tomorrow.
tomorrow. I'll hit you up
Absolutely.
tomorrow. M2 The Rock, thank you so much. Really
Yay.
appreciate you. God bless you. Have a great day.
I
Tell
got
me
three.
we said hi.
I got 3 words for you, Manning. It's got 8 letters, and it's got one meaning. You ready?
Okay.
I love you.
Back at you, sir.
Come on. Thank you,
Love
OG.
you, brother. Have a great
All
day.
right.
Bye-bye now.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now. Okay.
My voice made it. My voice made it.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you some tea. Whether you
Oh
want to or
man.
not.
I tell you, it was wasn't sure what to expect. Like I said, we did chit chat in Portland and talked about his story and M2 Michael Molthan. He the way he goes at things and
Mhm.
presents things as kind of a teaching environment. I love it because, yeah, we can sit here and we will be telling stories. We will be getting other people coming on.
Yeah.
And it will be all different formats. So this is not, like I said, not scripted. It's not cookie cutter where we're going to come on. Hey, okay. Tell us about your childhood.
different
Well,
every
it
time.
sucked.
Every time it's
I was
different.
abused,
Mhm.
alcohol, drugs by the time I was 10, and it got worse. And then by this time, but you know what, though? That's real life. And yeah,
Mhm.
we are going to have you tell your story, but there is no one way to tell your story. Like with, with them too, man, he does this for a living now. So if you want to hear about his story and how this created, go to his page,
Mhm.
check it out, and you can hear all that. But right now is the pay it forward place that we're at, where we're using all this information that we've been blessed with to take it to that next level. Like with me, it would be kind of pointless for me to come on here every other day and tell my story over and
Yeah.
over.
Mm.
Now, granted, there's a lot of people who don't have a clue who the hell Manny Vitale is,
Oh,
and they're watching
just-
it for the first time, and like, oh man, did you ever hear about this guy, Manny Vitale? Well, he's been around for a couple of years doing this. Well, it's the first time I ever heard this. Great, but at the same time, now let's start building on that. That's here. It's in the library. It's
Mhm.
there. It's to for everyone to see if you choose to. I always tell people, hey, listen, man, go check out our stuff in the past. Check out our old videos, and you can learn more about us. But here we are moving forward now, and that's what what we just did with M2 The Rock with Michael Morthan is we took it to where we are now forward, and awesome show. And again, thank you guys for popping on here. Stacy, Randy, Amber, Jacqueline. Did I miss any? Kaisa's in the house.
Yeah.
Kaisa, thank you so much for you coming on as a guest. I'm still getting a
Donald,
lot of
Bill
feedback
Stacks.
from you being on. Brandon Hughes, Vincent, and who'd you say?
Bill Stacks.
Bill Stacks, my man.
Mm-hmm.
And Pie and Rage, also known as Ryan Page. Definitely. I still, and also on Ryan with his story the other day. It was so fitting the way that show ended with him fading into the sunset.
Yes, the lighting
Ryan,
was
that
great.
was so freaking cool. But everybody who comes on this show, Donald, my man, Bill Stacks, chatting with Stacks, everyone here is just, appreciated so much. And the thing is, with everything that is said, no matter what platform or show you're watching, man, you're not going to agree with everybody, and the thing is, and if you don't, that's fine.
Listen for the things that touch you.
Yeah, and if there's something that's bothering you, don't watch. There's things with me, don't watch. But the thing is, just take. This is by no means do what I say ever. Don't do what I say, but do
self-care.
Just listen to options. That's all. And please be very mindful of everyone else that's in this family.
And this is coffee, not
there
sake.
is no disrespect. And I've been seeing a lot of problems with other platforms, other shows, where there's a lot of controversy going on with people talking shit about people and people talking about this host or this host talking about this host from this show.
We love our family.
You know what? I don't want any part of that, and you will not be on this show. If you're going to be talking, if your whole platform is to talk positivity and recovery and support and motivation,
there you go.
And then all of a sudden, in the middle of your rant, talk about so and so is this and doing it in a roundabout way. You know what? Think about what you're doing, and hey, you be you, but you're not going to do it on My Fight Our War. What you get with us is as real as they can be. And all I ask from all of our family members is remember, man, we all love each other. And just like a family, we're not going to agree with each other. If that happens, please show the respect that we all deserve.
Yeah, no guilt, blame, or shame.
No, man. No, we're here.
Send the love.
We're here to share that support.
They do.
Oh, no,
really,
this
is the best family.
No,
ever.
and that's why I use us for an
the
example,
best.
because of what I've been seeing with other people. And it's just like, and I'm getting messages from other people that are members of other shows that are like, can you believe this shit's going on? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can believe it, because unfortunately, this is the way the world is. Doesn't matter if it's a recovery platform or let's see how big of an asshole I can be platform, because a lot of you would be witting. And believe me, back in the day, I would have taken top prize on that category. But now, now we're here to help.
That's
now
right.
we're here to take the lead in a positive way. And so all you guys, man, I love you guys so much. And Amber, the shenanigators with you and Jacqueline and everyone else, you make this Heidi and everybody, Randy,
on, yeah.
Brandon, everybody, everyone who comes on here, Tyler. All I can say is thank you. Love you guys, respect you guys, and really appreciate you guys.
And have a good Saturday night.
Enjoy. And tomorrow, we are going on again. I'm not coming on, and we are coming on tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with a big announcement. I did kind of let things slide. I let the cat out of the bag earlier today. We are in the process. When I say we, I mean me and Thomas Vestergaard. You can find him on social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, on all over the place. Also known as the Sensitive Biker. Thomas Vestergaard, please check him out. And it's very important that you do, because you are looking at his new co-host.
Oh, my goodness.
Me and Thomas are going to be putting a show together. He is from Denmark, and he is in Thailand for the next month doing shows, and he has an incredible story. It's too much to get into for me to explain. You have to see it for yourself. Please go check out his page, Thomas Vestergaard, known as the Sensitive Biker.
So if you need to, take a nap and then set your alarm for 9 o'clock.
Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time,
Ish.
live from Thailand. We are going to be it's going to be me and Thomas, and we will be breaking the news of this new show and the direction that it's going to be insane. His life, his backstory, and mine are we
very
talked
similar.
for about 20 minutes the first time. And it was one of those things, boy. When it clicks, it clicks. And that's one thing. I got a very good intuition. And after I got done talking to him about just becoming a guest on the show, he was like, yeah, by all means, man. Just the carryover was so positive. It was like, damn. So I knew he was, in Thailand. So I just left him a message instead of calling him about my crazy idea that I had. And I talked to him about it this morning. I don't know, after the gym. I was driving in my truck, called him up, and we were discussing it about us doing a show together. And he is in such demand that he goes, I kind of figured something was up. And he goes, I just want you to know I've already got another offer to do another show, which I knew. I mean, he gets offers all the time. And I was like, hey, you know what? And I even told Thomas this. My dad said, son, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And I said, I just had to throw my hat in the ring, Thomas. And he goes, well, let me finish. He said, I have another offer to do this. And I was like, okay, I kind of figured. And he goes, but after watching you and hearing your interviews, seeing your shows and all that, he goes, I want to work with you. And when he said that, it meant everything to me. Someone such as himself in the position that he is in, to turn down another offer to do a show, a podcast with myself is such an honor, and one that I will not take lightly. I don't take lightly. And so this adds on to the wild, crazy life of Manny Vitale, all of us here at My Fight Our War with OG.
So the
Sushi,
family's got a
Wonder
Dutch
Dog.
connection now.
We who knows, instead of just heading to New York every 6 weeks, heading to Athens, Alabama, heading to New Milford, Connecticut, heading now with just Michael with M2 The Rock, Michael Molthan, going to Dallas, Texas to do his show. We could be looking at Delta. We are going to Denmark, and then me and Thomas, we are off to Thailand. So OG's good thing that she's good with all this flying shit. So that is what has been going on. Laura, cousin Laura, how are you? So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. I really hope you guys can check us out and tune in at 9 p.m. tomorrow night for myself and Thomas. He is getting up nice and early in Thailand to come on and do this live show tomorrow so we can talk about what we got going on. But yes, another show. Here we go.
Why not?
Amber, I hope you have a great night. You and your shenanigator, Jacqueline, Laura, everybody have a great night. And I'm
gonna go make him some tea.
Yeah, it's time. The voice is going. It's time to go. Bye-bye. Love you guys. Until next time, keep fighting a good fight.